Hey, what's up? I'm Deryck from Sum 41, and this is my 4-track history. The writing for Into Deep was kind of accidental in a way. I was waiting for Dave Brown Sound to come pick me up. This is when we were still living with our parents and we were teenagers. And he's notoriously late. He still is, and he always was. And he was about an hour late, and I was sitting by the door, and I kept looking out the window to see if he was going to pull up. And I had a guitar just sitting there, so I just picked up this guitar, and I just started kind of playing around. And all of a sudden, the sort of main riff kind of came out, and I started singing over it. And I kind of liked what I was doing, and then I kept going, and then I got to a chorus, and I just went to a couple chords and sang something new, and all of a sudden it felt like the song had just kind of written itself. And then Dave showed up. So all I had was the verse and the chorus, and then I forgot about it, and I didn't think about it for a couple days. I went back to it and realized, I actually kind of like this, and I just finished the song basically. The video shoot for Into Deep was really big. I mean, it felt like a movie. And we were actually recreating scenes from an actual movie back to school. So we went to the same pool that they shot at in that movie, and it was a huge production. And I just remember being really sunburned because we were out there for 2 days, all day. And yeah, we were just, drinking, having fun, and not paying attention. Next thing you know, we're all super sunburned. Into Deep surprised me a lot. That it actually connected with people. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that it was going to do that. We almost didn't even put that song on the record because we didn't really feel that strongly about it at the time. So everything that happened with Into Deep was a big surprise for us. I like the song, but I feel like, there was 2 versions that we recorded, and one version is the one that everyone knows. The other version is the way we play it live, and I always liked that version. We all liked that version much better. I think we regretted the fact that we went with the one that everyone knows, but, it is what it is. The writing process for Still Waiting was kind of funny because the whole record was done, and it was a last-second idea I came up with. And I remember showing it to the guys, and everyone thought it was strong. And it didn't sound like anything else on the record that we were doing quite at that moment. And I just really quickly had to get it done because we were so close to finishing this record. And I just kind of threw out some lyrics really quickly. And it was right around the time that there was all this talk about, George Bush and Tony Blair were talking about going into Iraq for the Iraq War and invading weapons of mass destruction. And we didn't believe, even though we were only 21, 22 at the time, we didn't believe that made sense to us. And I wrote that song, I wrote all those lyrics about that, and just sort of my feeling about that. And at the end of the day, it kind of turns out that we were right. Still Waiting felt like the best first track off that record because it was just the one that we were the most excited about. I don't know why. It's just when that song was written, and like I said, it was the last second, that song got written. We just kind of knew it right away that had to be the first song. That's how we felt like we wanted to represent that record. The video for Still Waiting was us on the set of the same set that the Strokes had used for their song, and the video was basically, the idea was to make fun of ourselves and make fun of the music industry, of the fact that bands, pop punk bands and bands with numbers in them was a fad that had passed, and now everyone's moved on to the Strokes and the Hives and the Vines was the coolest thing around, that we needed to be more like them. So we ended up performing as the Sums on the set of the Strokes video. Well, the funny thing about that video is we were over here, we were in the UK, we were in London, and I ran into Julian from the Strokes. We were staying at the same hotel, and this is before we shot the video. And we ended up hanging out with those guys all night, and we're hanging out at the bar, and at one point, I said to Julian, I was like, we got this idea for this video we're thinking about. I wanted to run it past you. It's us. I told him the whole concept of the video, and he said, that's a great idea. I hope you guys do that. So we felt like we got his blessing, and like I said, we weren't making fun of the Strokes, we were making fun of ourselves, and I think the idea just kind of worked. The song War was an important song for me at a certain time in my life because I recently just gotten sober. I was out of the hospital from liver and kidney failure, and things were difficult at that time. I was trying to stay sober. I was trying to get better and recover because I'd done a lot of damage to myself, and it felt like it was a never-ending process. I was never really getting any better. And sometimes I had these moments of thinking like, well, maybe it would just be easier to just, give up. Who cares? Why not just drink and just go back to it? Because it doesn't seem like I'm getting any better anyway. And then out of nowhere, these lyrics, a couple of these words came out, and I was just like, well, what am I fighting for? And I thought, well, I'm fighting for everything. I'm fighting for everything back and more. So I wrote that down, and as more lyrics came out, I realized I wrote a whole song. And once the song was written, I kind of realized that I just told myself what I have to do. I have to stay strong, and I have to keep fighting, and I'll get there eventually. And I did. The music video for that song was a good idea. It wasn't my favorite necessarily on the way it turned out. I think on paper it read a lot better than it looked, in my opinion. I like playing the song War live because it's one of those ones that everyone sings along with it, and it's just that it's got that kind of melody, and the lyrics are simple enough that it seems like everyone kind of catches on, even if they don't know it. The song Never There is a song that's just basically me on a piano, and I wrote it in a way I didn't want to write it. It's a song about how I've never met my father, and it's just something that I never really cared about. My mom has been such a strong single mother that I never really had to think about him, so I almost didn't really want to go there. But I felt it was probably important because it's obviously something that was like bouncing around in my brain somewhere. And it was just, I never thought the song was going to go on the record. I just thought I'll write it and just get it out and be done with it, until our manager told me that he felt like it was a strong song and it was just as heavy as anything else on the record, just in a different way. And once I saw that, I agreed with him. I thought it made sense to put it on the record. I thought about giving the song away. I had a couple of people in mind somewhat, but not necessarily. I felt like I would play it for my manager because he would have a better idea of where to send a song to, because I've never really done that. I hear people do that sort of stuff. So, but he just said, don't give it to anyone. This song is you. It wouldn't work for somebody else. The music video was a last-second video done by a good friend of mine named John Asher. And it was, instead of, focusing on the relationship or the lack thereof of the father and son, I wanted to showcase the relationship that I had with my mom, who, like I said, was a great single mother, very strong woman, and show that bond by what can be a positive in that situation.